Hello, beautiful women of the world. I'm so happy to be able to have a chance to speak to you. My name is Miyoko Schinner, and I am the founder and CEO of Miyoko's Creamery, a company in California that makes butter and cheese out of plant milk instead of cow's milk. We're distributed throughout the United States in about 30,000 stores, as well as in Canada, and we do a little bit of export to South Africa and Asia. I want to let you know that I started this company when I was 57 years old. This is 8 years ago. And I can tell you that I've been a serial entrepreneur since my early 20s when I became a vegan. Now, I had many, many different businesses, and most of them have not been very, very successful. In fact, I had gotten to a point when I was about 50 years old, I was absolutely convinced that I was just not meant for business, that nothing I touched would ever succeed or turn to gold. But I had been driven my entire life since becoming a vegan, trying to create a food system, trying to contribute to a food system that would be based on justice and equity and liberty for all living beings, including animals. For me, food was the way I could achieve that. If I could make delicious food that didn't harm animals, and I could get people to join around a table and partake of delicious meals that didn't have meat or dairy or any kind of suffering, for me, that was a huge win. And over time, over the last 30, 40 years, we've learned the impact of animal agriculture on the environment as well. And that also fueled my passion for creating businesses like this. Over the last 35 years, I've had a number of businesses. I started with a little bakery in Japan. I also had a restaurant. I had another natural food company in the 1990s making meat alternatives. And while all of these businesses had achieved some degree of notoriety and applause from my consumers as well as even the media, they were never successful financially. And as I grew older and I raised a family, when I finally hit that golden age of 50, when life is supposed to slow down and people start thinking about retirement, I, in fact, felt like a failure. I felt like for most of my life, I had tried to succeed as a businesswoman, as a creator of food products that could help change the world and how we think about food and how we think about animals. I had never, ever really succeeded. Each time I tried, something would go wrong. And when I got to the age of 50, I thought, what had been the meaning of my life? Why is it I had never, ever been able to succeed? And I fell into this period of sort of depression, feeling like my life was basically over. From now on, all I really could do is just look forward to some sort of retirement. And I got involved. I got out of the food business for a while and I got involved in real estate. And finally, I started making money. It was very exciting at one point because I felt like, oh my God, I'm finally good at something. I can make money. And I was able to buy a big house and send my kids to private school. And I was, for a few years, very proud of myself until I realized how empty I felt inside. For most of my life, I had worked towards creating a world based on equity for all living beings, as I had mentioned before, but now I was simply making money for the sake of making money. And I felt completely empty inside. This plunged me into sort of a depression, feeling like, okay, I had never been good at anything that had true value, that actually contributed to the world. And the only way I could make money was by focusing on making money. Eventually, I got to a point where I became so depressed, I realized that I needed to get back into food. And I walked away from the real estate business. And I said, I don't care if I don't earn money again. I need to get back into food, the one thing that speaks to my heart, that I have been able to contribute to the world in the past in a small way. I took some cheese making classes, dairy cheese making classes, because cheese had been a passion of mine before I went vegan, and it was the thing that I missed the most. And I felt like, how do I bring this to the world? How can I maybe understand the science of traditional cheese making and apply it to milks made from plants, such as nuts and seeds and legumes. And can I make cheese? Can I make butter? So I took classes. I was the only vegan that didn't actually eat the products that we made in class. And eventually I figured out how to make cheese out of cashews and other nuts and seeds and legumes and oats. And I wrote a book that was published in 2012 called Artisan Vegan Cheese that has been translated into about 6 different languages, including Polish and German and Italian. And 2 years later, in 2014, at the age of 57, I decided I must give this my last hurrah. I have to try my hand at running a business one more time, and I started Miyoko's Creamery. This time around in my life, Miyoko's Creamery was a success from the get-go. I was able to raise $1 million from friends just by taking a cheese platter around, and I was able to open up my little enterprise. And from the beginning, the demand was so high. Within a year, I had national distribution, and now we are one of the largest leading makers of plant milk, cheese, and butter in the world. But what's more important than having a successful business is what we have been able to stand for, what we have been able to communicate to the world. My goal in life is to change people's perception towards animals, to steer them away from looking at animals as a food or a commodity, but for them for humans to begin to understand our own humanity, to begin to understand that animals are living beings with whom we share this planet, and we must honor them, we must respect them, and accord them life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. This is why I started the company. This is what Miyoko's stands for. Now, it took me a long time to get there. Earlier in my life, when I had businesses, I was afraid to speak my truth. I just wanted people to eat my delicious food, and I thought that would be enough. It took me decades. It took me over 50 years to get to a point where I could actually tell people why I had started this business. That my love for animals, my love for creating a world based on compassion was the reason I started this company. And a strange thing happened because people resonated with that message. And they said, wow, I never thought about food in that manner. I never thought about cheese in that manner. And knowing your story, knowing your why, makes me want to buy your products more. And I'm not talking about just vegans and vegetarians. The predominance of our customers are not vegans or vegetarians at all. But by speaking our truth in a compassionate way, people began to gather around and become great supporters of our company. Now, another thing is that all of my failed businesses in the past, I believe I had something to do with. I had a lack of self-confidence, of lack of self-belief. I was always doubting myself. Sometimes for a woman, it takes decades to reach a point in life where we can truly, finally believe in ourselves. So do not give up because your initial enterprises don't go well. It may just take you longer, but you will reach that point. And as women, you will hear more naysayers. You will hear people tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that. It'll be hard. But you must just pursue your vision and always speak your truth. When we speak our truth, the world listens because the world is looking for leadership. Our company to date has been able to raise about $100 million. And another point that I want to make is that less than 2% of all investment dollars in the world actually goes to support women. And part of the reason is because, as I mentioned before, women are often plagued by self-doubt. And we show up in boardrooms, we show up in front of investors with a tinge of self-doubt in our voices. So take command of yourself, believe in yourself, believe in your vision, share your vision with the rest of the world. The world wants to hear the leader that you can become. The world wants to see you living your truth. And this is how we conquer the world, and this is how we win. So go get them, women. You can do it. Believe in yourself, have confidence, share your truth, and conquer the world. Thank you so much.